Time to wake up. It's Saturday morning. Find some milk and cereal. Grab a bowl and spoon. No, a bigger spoon. Head to the living room and take a seat on the floor while Joseph and Chris present to you Saturday Morning Cartoon!
Hello everybody, welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoon Boom! This is your wake with the Saturday morning sun popped on the floor of Big World Cheery cereal on for cartoons, both old and new. I'm Joseph.
And I'm 2019 Chris.
2019 Chris?
Yeah.
How does this Chris differ?
I have one less wart on my foot. That's how I'm different.
That's something.
Yeah, I had a fever and decided it'd be a good idea to pass the time by cutting it off. Not recommended.
You did it yourself?
Oh yeah, dude.
That doesn't sound smart.
Yeah, it's green now, but that's probably fine. Because green means go.
Yeah. No, that's always positive when it comes to body parts.
Yeah.
Green is good.
Yeah.
They both start with G. It's got to be the case.
The green means new. It's been renewed.
Yeah. You regrew it. It's fine.
Fresh.
Yeah. So this morning we watched Adventure Time.
Adventure Time was suggested to us by Christopher1295, or you could read that as 1295 or 1295. It's your choice. Via Reddit. So thank you, Christopher1295, 1295, or 1295.
Thank you, Christopher 1295.
Yeah.
1295, 1295.
You're choosing that one, huh?
I don't know.
All right.
I went with it. I started with this. I'm just going to go
To
with
each their own, I guess.
So Adventure Time aired from 2010 to 2018. Created by Pendleton Ward, produced by Frederator Studios and Cartoon Network Studios, ran for 10 seasons, 283 episodes. Originally, the pilot aired on the Nicktoons network, but they then rejected it. So the actual series is picked up by Cartoon Network, and it ran for the duration there.
Nick is probably like, oh, we screwed up so bad. Like, why?
Yeah, they gotta be kicking themselves now. For a short synopsis of this series, a 12-year-old boy and his best friend, wise 28-year-old dog with magical powers, go on a series of surreal adventures with each other.
So is he 28 in dog years or human years? Because if he's 28 in human years, man, that dog's on his deathbed and has been for a very long time.
Yeah, that is an old dog if it is in dog years.
Yeah, and this is the second show we've done that was created by Pendleton Ward, correctly? Because we did the other one. I don't remember all of a sudden for some reason. I remember what the characters look like.
Bravest Warriors.
Bravest Warriors, that's right. Yeah, so this is our second Pendleton Ward cartoon, and this one came first, so it's weird that we did this one way after the other one.
It's weird that we waited so long to do this one. It's been out since 2010,
yeah,
and somehow we've managed to miss it this whole time.
Nobody was requesting it for the longest time. For some reason, it just seems like oversight. But then again, maybe everyone just assumed we had already done it and they missed the episode. I don't know.
Yeah,
because that's what you
thought
did.
We'd already done it too. Yeah. So who are some of the actors you played in this show?
All right, the voice of Finn was provided by Jeremy Shada. The voice of Jake was John DiMaggio. We've definitely seen him pop up several times in this show. Really well known for doing Bender from Futurama. Also lots of video game stuffs. We got Princess Bubblegum, voiced by Hinton Walsh. The Ice King, voiced by Tom Kenny, who's also SpongeBob. If you listen real close, you can kind of hear it in his voice. Marceline the Vampire Queen, voiced by Olivia Olson. Bemo's voice was provided by Nikki Yang. And then Lumpy Space Princess, Pendleton Ward, the creator of the show. So that's fun.
Yeah, he also sang the theme song. Did you know that?
I did not know that, but I kind of wondered. Okay, like I have nothing wrong with cartoons like this and, you know, other cartoons of this ilk. But you got things like this and Steven Universe and stuff. And I feel like they're starting to overdo the like quirky, bad acoustic song to open a cartoon. It's become kind of like a trend now, and I'm like, you know, the first couple of shows I did, that's fine, but you know, let's just leave it for now and let's move on to a new trend.
I didn't have any problem with it. Like with the intro itself, that was the raw recording of it. And every time they tried to re-record it, he was like, nah, I just don't like it anymore. So he went with the original recording. You can actually hear noises within the recording of stuff going on in the studio around him.
Nice.
Like when Finn's on Jake's back and they're kind of walking through the mountains, you can hear somebody typing on a keyboard.
Oh,
And
interesting.
it's just like a lot of little things like that you don't really connect with anything. You just think it's just part of the song. And it is, I guess, but only by accident because that was what was happening around him. That was the original recording of the song. So
Oh, cool.
That's something cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kinda nice.
I guess I jumped ahead in the marshmallow part already. So I'll just
Yeah, you did.
start naming the other ones. The series is based on a 2007 short produced for Nicktoons and Frederator Studios. It was for this animation thing called Random Cartoons, kind of like the What a Cartoon thing, except on the Nickelodeon side. And after the short became a viral hit on the internet, Cartoon Network commissioned a full-length series. This was actually the first series produced by Frederator Studios that was not aired on Nickelodeon. Pendleton Ward originally pitched it to the network twice after doing the pilot for them, but was eventually rejected both times. So they had 2 chances to get this thing, and they rejected him both times.
They deserve to miss out on all the money this show would have given them.
I was surprised to see that. As a running gag in every episode, except for the food chain episode in 2014, a small snail is in the frame, waving at viewers. The snail is usually only on screen for 1 shot per episode.
Oh,
I never
weird.
noticed that, but yeah, something to look for on rewatches.
I mean, if it's only in like 1 frame, I don't think anyone's ever gonna, like, you're not gonna catch it unless you're watching this thing in super slow motion.
Or unless you're just looking for it, yeah. Like specifically. And I don't know if it means like 1 frame, like, you know, throughout the entire thing, like it's just a subliminal thing, or if it's like he's in 1 scene in the background or something. I don't know. Jeremy Shada was chosen to voice Finn after his older brother Zach, who played the character in the pilot, was unable to reprise the voice reprise the role due to his changing voice.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of notice too that Finn's voice changes throughout this show.
That was something that they actually did intentionally because they wanted to keep, after they got Jeremy Shada in as the role, they wanted to keep him as Finn, so they decided to let Finn age along with the show too, so that it could match his voice as it changed.
I say they'd have to because there's no way.
Yeah,
and you can definitely tell listening to like the first episode and the last episode, like we did. Yeah, it's very different.
It wasn't a gradual change for us. We went from start to finish, and it was a vast difference. Finn's name was originally Pin, a shortened name for the show's creator, Pendleton Ward, but he decided against using that, so went with Finn instead.
Yeah, Finn is way better.
So what memories do you have of the show? Did you watch it much before we did this, or what was your experience?
I watched 1 episode once.
I've
literally only seen the first episode a couple years ago, and I wasn't paying a lot of attention. It was like, I think I was playing a video game or something, and I put it on and I didn't pay attention, and so I didn't really get it, and I was like, I don't understand what this is, and I just didn't watch it. But like, I know that the fandom for this thing is gigantic, and I've heard so many good things, so I've been like really, really wanting to get back into it. So this kind of gave me the excuse to jump into it and really see what this is about, and I'm really glad I did.
Yeah, same here. Like, I had watched maybe 2 or 3 episodes, so I had a little bit more experience, but not enough to know at all the direction it was going to go. I didn't realize how deep it was. I guess I'll say that. Having experienced it, you know, now I kind of want to go back and watch all of it.
Especially based on the last episode, to be honest. Mostly based on that episode.
Yeah, seriously. What was funny was when they started the series, it wasn't really going to be anything like it is now, like this post-apocalyptic world. It was just kind of after this episode where they found these businessmen trapped in these icebergs, which was in the first season at some point, and I had seen that episode before. After that episode, they were like, the world of Ooh, or the land of Ooh, which is the place they're from, or the place they're on right now. It's gone through some stuff, so why don't we set it as like a post-apocalyptic world? And this is the aftermath. Like, I think it was 1,000 years ago or something. The like nuclear bombs hit this place and kind of blew a crater in the side of it, and also kind of wrecked the land. And that's when magic kind of came back into the land. So that was reintroduced to it after that fallout. So this thing it started as just like a fun, like playful series, but it turned into a much deeper thing.
I love when cartoons do that. Like I've mentioned this before about other shows, like Avatar: The Last Airbender is the big one that I can think of that started out kind of goofy and like there's more things to lose as the show goes on, and it creates some dire circumstances for usually goofy characters. And anytime a show does that, I feel like it's a good move. Like that's the kind of stuff I like.
Yeah, and I feel like most shows have that in mind coming into it. Like, okay, here's what we're going to lead up to. We're going to start slow and, move in a direction that's kind of unexpected. But this one, it literally they had no idea coming into it what it was going to turn into. So they were just kind of making it up as they went on the fly. And I thought that was a really special, kind of unique thing.
That does make episode 1 make a little bit more sense to me.
How like random it was.
How they went in without a plan.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go ahead and jump into the episodes we watched for today's show. The very first episode, highest rated episode, finally random listener chosen episode. Order may vary depending on how these episodes fall chronologically, but of course we have to start with the very first episode, which was Slumber Party Panic, Season 1, Episode 1. And in this one, Princess Bubblegum's latest experiment accidentally unleashes an undead horde upon the Candy Kingdom.
This is ridiculous. This being the first episode I saw a couple years ago, I don't want to say turned me off of it, but I'm like, this is nothing. But rewatching it now, I've got some appreciation for how ridiculous it is because you have like candy zombies and that's just fun.
Oh yeah, the candy zombies are great. Like there's just so much. Like I could see why you might not expect what's coming with the rest of it with this episode because it's kind of like it's a fun episode, but it's like a nothing episode. Like the stakes are high, I guess, but it's just kind of silly and playful. And it's like, okay, so I guess this is going to be the direction the show goes. But then again, it does have undead zombies, and her experiment is to bring the dead citizens of the Candy Kingdom back to life. So that's kind of dark in and of itself.
Yeah, she made a decorpsinator serum. And one of the ingredients, the only ingredient I know that's in it for sure is explosive diarrhea.
One drop of explosive diarrhea, yes.
Yeah, so they're at the cemetery. They're trying to, and when I say they, I mean Princess Bubblegum, who is the brains of this thing, and Finn. And I guess what may have helped me get into this more is if I would have gotten more of an introduction to like Finn, Princess Bubblegum, and Jake from the beginning. But this kind of like, it just kind of jumps into it. And this is like a, it could be any day adventure, something that just happens in the show. And so like, I didn't quite get it at first because I didn't understand who these characters were, why they were there, what they were up to, like I just didn't have much context for it. But it was still fun.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if even the pilot revealed more of that, like as an introductory episode, since I haven't seen the pilot. I'm assuming you haven't either.
I have not.
But
no.
Yeah, but in general, I think it's one of those cartoons where it reveals origins as the show proceeds, as opposed to starting out with an origin story.
Yeah, I definitely assume that's probably how it goes. I like that though. They dig up this one dead candy person. Everyone else in this world is, I don't want to say everyone. Most of them are candy, I guess it seems, or at least in this kingdom. There's some odd ones out there too. Like there's a part unicorn, part rainbow character that's really cute.
Oh, Lady Rainicorn.
Yeah, Lady Rainicorn. So there's some other weird things out there, but most of these people are candies. They dig one up, they use it, and instead of them coming back to life, they are like a zombie form craving sugar, and that one just engorges itself on the serum. I can't remember exactly what happened, but it kind of like exploded and sent the serum all over the graveyard. So then tons of the candies came back to life. So then they run over to like back to the castle and they call for a town meeting. So everybody's in there and the princess is not going to tell them what's going on. It's like, we're having a sleepover and everyone's all excited. I gotta say, Manfred cracked me up. The pinata that's randomly hanging in there.
Oh yeah.
When Finn's trying to like hurt everybody in there. It was so weird.
Manfred. Yeah, it is. I love Tree Trunks also. And she's a little like older elephant lady. Like she's a little yellow elephant. And I know she doesn't get much in this episode, but in later episodes that I had seen, has some just hilarious parts. She's always like trying to be flirtatious and stuff. And it's just so funny coming out of this tiny yellow elephant.
The best way I can describe how this show works is basically, you get those dreams that are just so off the wall, but in your dream, just as an example, let's say someone could pull out a bouquet of flowers and like just a split second more, that is a bowl of soup instead. and in your dream, that just makes sense to you. You're like, of course. That's kind of the show. Like they throw in a lot of really just the weirdest, most random things, but in the context of the show and their world, it's not weird.
It's just accepted.
Yes.
Just like BMO, like we had spoken about earlier, she's literally like
she's a Game Boy.
a sentient video game system.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's a sentient Game Boy.
Yeah, Manfred's a sentient pinata. Most of these are sentient candies. Princess Bubblegum makes Finn make a royal promise. It's important that it's a royal promise, not to tell anyone what's going on, because we find out that if candy people get too anxious, they literally explode.
Oh, yeah.
Which we see where, was it Starchy? This guy?
Yes, Starchy, the janitor, or the gravedigger, I guess.
He's the best. He shows up at the graveyard trying to give her just a better shovel, and he sees the zombie things and he freaks out and explodes and stuff. So we get to see that in action. So most of this episode is Finn trying to keep it a secret, with Jake knowing something's going on, and he's trying to coax it out of him through things like games of truth or dare, stuff like that. And it's pretty funny, especially when the zombies kind of start attacking outside the castle, but everyone's just so kind of oblivious. And Finn is so distracting that nobody's noticing what's going on.
And then it's great because when the zombies actually break into the castle, they're like, all right, put your blindfolds on. It's time to break the piñatas. And they're like, but not you, Manfred. Oh, thank you. Yeah. And and then so they're just bashing zombies with these piñata sticks. And I just thought that was a really fun way to approach that.
Right. Especially because they don't know what's going on. But it gets real weird because then because they're thinking they're hitting piñatas, they're hitting other candy, people, zombies, which are falling to the ground and spilling open. And then with their blindfolds still on, they start eating their innards. So
oh yeah,
it gets real messed up, man. It's weird, but it's kind of funny. Finn thinks everything's fine because the zombies are defeated. So then he goes ahead and tells Jake what was going on. But that triggered, so Princess Bubblegum's like, you broke the royal promise. You can't do that. And it triggers these guardians of the royal promise to show up. And they're these
gumball guardians.
Yeah, they're these two like giant gumball machines. They pick him up and they're basically like, first they say he's got to face a trial by fire. And then when Bubblegum's like, he's my friend, isn't there anything else we can do? Of course. And then they make him do math.
Oh, and they give him a really complex equation. And then one of them's like, wait, I've got something better. And it's like 2 + 2.
Yeah. And I like how like Finn had to think for a second too. He's like, 4?
Right.
And they start laughing and then they're like, oh, wait, that's correct.
And then they like break and fall over. Yeah. Oh,
that was so good. That reset the things a little bit. It gave them it prompted Princess Bubblegum to realize that the number 4 was missing from her equation for this serum. So she goes and remakes the serum with this 4 included in the mathematics for the chemical makeup. And she makes it and it works on everyone. And all the candy people are back to life. And then I don't understand this thing with Starchy at all. Like I can tell they like some toilet humor in this show, like a little bit, because there's a lot of fart jokes. But Starchy is like chewing on Finn's leg and he's like, you're not a zombie. And he's like, but I crave human flesh. It's delicious.
I can't help it. Flesh is delicious. Yeah. And then Finn's like, you're delicious, and then squeezes him.
I didn't understand this part, but it made me laugh. So I liked it.
Yeah. And that's the close of the episode with a nice squeeze fart.
A good old fashioned fart joke. It gave us something new and something we were used to.
It kind of sets the tone for the series, at least initially, before it really starts to unfold. So the second episode of today's show was Simon and Marcy, season 5, episode 14. And this was the listener pick?
Yes, it was. So the listener actually chose two, like this one and then a backup, but the backup ended up being the highest rated episode, so that was totally fine. So yeah, but did choose this one.
And in this one, Marceline tells Finn and Jake about her and Ice King's past 996 years ago. So again, the atomic war that was called the Mushroom War, you know, probably because of the mushroom clouds and all that blew up the land of Ooh, that happened 1,000 years ago. So this, I guess, is 4 years post-apocalypse. And it's Marceline, who's the vampire queen, like you said, explaining how she and Ice King like used to be like good friends. Well, she was just a kid, like a little, like a baby almost.
She was 7.
And yeah. And so he was just a regular guy. Like the Ice King was regular guy, Simon. But he had that crown with him, the crown that you know the Ice King to have. Every time he puts on, it would kind of like start to drive him more mad.
Yeah.
And it would like make his nose longer and his beard grow longer.
And his skin turned blue, like more blue.
Yeah, to resemble more the Ice King that we know today. And so it's interesting seeing this, like I was saying earlier, is an origin story of Ice King and also his relationship with Marceline at that time.
Do you think that they, and I'm not saying this is what they did, do you think part of this came as like a joking spoof of Arthas from Warcraft?
There were a lot of inspirations to this show, video games being one of them, so I wouldn't be surprised. Dungeons and Dragons was also a big inspiration.
Sure. What was difficult for me with this episode is that I didn't know much about these characters. I had no idea who Marceline was. I had to look her up. And I knew a little bit about the Ice King. I didn't know the characters enough, I think, to appreciate the episode as much as longtime fans would. However, it was still written so well that it was very enjoyable. It reminded me a bit of just a little bit of like The Last of Us, you know, where you've got this older guy leading this young girl through this post-apocalyptic world, and it's very lonely, and there's dangers, and, you know, one of them ends up not being so well and having to overcome that and survive and stuff. That was pretty cool. Like, I enjoyed that part quite a bit. And I do want to mention that the story is being told over a game of basketball where it's Ice King and Marcy, Marceline are playing against Finn and Jake. It's very silly, but like the setting of how the story is being told, but the story itself is very good.
This show, it needs to have that balance of kind of silliness and at this point seriousness too, or at least some kind of like a deeper emotional things going on. For what they packed into an 11 minute episode, I was very impressed because I didn't know like a ton about these characters, only their general relationships with Finn and Jake, Marceline being a friend and Ice King generally being the foe. But I didn't know he had an alternate identity. And so seeing this, it hit me in a way, the same way that We Bare Bears did.
Yeah.
Sort of, where we got to see Ice Bear's origin story too. But this was like, the reason he became Ice King was to protect Marceline because he had to keep putting that crown on to protect her from these zombies. I guess these like, these mutated things. I don't know what they were. Maybe they were the start of the candy people or something. I'm not sure, but it's like they were just these like walking forms that had like green goose spewing out of them. Yeah. Anyway, the point was that I appreciated the fact that the reason he did it was protecting someone else. And eventually that did drive him insane. And I like the way that didn't really happen until the very end of the episode where, you know, he seems okay, but then he calls her Gunther. Actually, Gunther is the Scandinavian person who gave him the crown originally, I guess who created the crown and then gave it to him originally. Okay. And also it's the name he's given his main penguin, like his penguin henchman. Yeah. So it's kind of multiple layers to this. I don't know if they're connected, the penguin and the original Gunther, but at least in Ice King's head, they are.
Yeah, so I was kind of wondering about this too, like, because I didn't know where the crown came from, why he had it. The reason that he puts it on, for those that aren't in the know, whenever there's danger around, is because once he puts it on, then he can control cold, so he can create wind and snow and ice and things like that. So it makes him powerful. He can also like levitate and stuff. So that's why he would put it on to keep them safe. That was the safety aspect of it. But yeah, as Joseph said, the more he puts it on, the more he loses control and loses parts of himself, because it's like going back to the Warcraft thing. It's like Arthas taking up Frostmourne, which had like another soul in it. And it kind of tainted him a little.
Corrupted him.
It slowly corrupted him. I guess the same could be said for like the One Ring from Lord of the Rings. Like every time Frodo used the ring, he was more and more corrupted. It just took him a long time because hobbits were naturally kind of resistant to it, but he got corrupted the more he used it. So, that's basically the idea of that. What was interesting to me, and I like this a lot, is after the flashback is over, and it goes back to present day where they've been playing basketball. It's like, the Ice King's listening to the story. He has no idea that he was Simon. Like, it just doesn't register for him. He's just like, oh, cool story. And I was just like, dang, okay. I see where that's going.
He's that far gone.
Yeah.
Right. There were like a lot of parts in this episode that it wasn't like all super serious, of course. Like there were a lot of parts that were making me laugh. Like when he was like, they found that like broken TV. And so he was trying to put on a show for her. And he started singing the Cheers intro.
Yeah, I thought
that was really good. I mean, this is serious again, but I just thought about it. Like she made him promise not to put it back on because she knew what it was doing to him. She could see it, obviously.
Yeah.
Where he lost connection was when she said, they find some chicken noodle soup and he had just finished saving her for the last time and taking the crown off. And she said that she was like, I love you, Simon. And he said, I love you, Gunther.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, okay, so he's gone now. Like he's just lost it.
He had passed that threshold, essentially, where like he was on the path of no return. So yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah. So again, like, even though I'm not like super familiar with the characters, I knew enough about them to where that was still a moving scene or a moving episode.
Yeah, and like even not knowing anything about these characters, I felt that same way. Like it was just so written and the story was done so well that it made me feel for these characters that I know nothing about. And I am very glad for that fact, because I fear if it had been any other episode, I still wouldn't have enough connection to appreciate the show. But being able to see that they can really get to a level of depth, regardless of how you know them or not, it just shows that it's good writing.
Yeah, and I also think like this was a great transitional episode for us to jump from the first one to this one to the last one, which was very serious episode. And it also involved Simon / Ice King too, which
quite a bit
at that point made a lot more sense to us. So we'll just jump into it. Go ahead and transition over. The last one we watched was The Ultimate Adventure, Come Along With Me, season 10, episode 13. And this was the highest rated episode, of course, and also the second one chosen by listeners.
And the longest episode, I'm pretty sure.
Because it was 45 minutes. I don't know if any other ones had been like little mini series like that, but this one for sure was very long. It went by at such a fast pace. It still felt kind of short.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like it rushed through it or anything. It just like, I was so into it. I was drawn in. And so I wasn't ready for it to be over when it was.
Plus, they unpacked so much stuff. And I guess with it having to deal with so many things, like I can recognize where loose ends were being tied, but I didn't know what those ends were to begin with. So it made me want to go back and watch more. I mean, this episode in particular, I was just like, oh, I need to go back and understand, because I can tell these are very important moments.
Yeah, meaningful scenes that we weren't like super familiar with. I like how it started. Like it didn't have the regular intro either. It had Shermie and Beth, the pup princess.
I was super confused. I had no idea what was going on with this. So I had to stop it, and then I looked it up. I'm like, wait, who are these characters? Like, did I miss something? Should we have not have watched this one yet? And then I saw that they only appear in this episode, and I'm like, okay, so it must just be like they're doing a cold open to confuse people,
Yeah.
So.
Well, because this one, it's told by BMO. It's a flashback told by BMO about the Great Gum War, where Finn, Jake, Marceline, Princess Bubblegum, and the Candy Kingdom go to war against Gumbald, who is Princess Bubblegum's uncle, and his army that will determine the fate of Ooh once and for all.
I love that Princess Bubblegum's army, they refer to Gumbald as a code name, but the code name is Father's Brother. I'm like, okay, yeah.
One thing that I was surprised to see, and I don't know like
The arm?
if this was, if this happened earlier or if this was just part of this episode or what.
I don't know. But Finn lost an arm at some point, I guess.
Yeah, he had a metal arm. So I was like, whoa, like, what have I missed?
Yeah.
A lot, obviously. Well, because we jumped from season 1 to 5 to 10. Yeah. So I'm sure we missed a lot in there.
It's a very
But I
good
didn't
point.
realize that they had that much continuity to it to where it's like, oh, well, Finn lost a limb and that's going to stay gone, you know?
Yeah, so these characters, Shermie and Beth, find this metal arm. They end up going up to this mountaintop and find what they think is the king, but it ends up being BMO, or like a version of BMO. I don't know, the color was different. Like it wasn't the typical like teal.
They referred to her as the King of Ooh.
The King of Ooh, yeah. BMO was gray, was wearing a fake beard, and was wearing Princess Bubblegum's crown. They kind of showed the arm. They're like, you know, what is this? Like, what is this from? Like, because they kind of thought that the whole, like the gum war, like all that stuff, they kind of thought were myths and stuff. Like this must be pretty far in the future to not even really know that this part of history is real or not.
Yeah, I think it was 1,000 years in the future.
Okay,
also.
That makes sense. Then BMO starts kind of telling the story, and we it really opens up where it's like the war is really about to start. I mean, you've got Bubblegum planning her attacks. There's a spy, so they're like, okay, we got to attack now. And then Gumbald's doing the same thing, like we got to attack, and they're about to fight. When Jake and Finn are trying really hard to force peace between them so that there is no fight. And I'm not sure exactly what they have. They had something that Jake throws down when they all kind of confront each other and sends Finn, Jake, Bubblegum, Gumbald, and Fern to like a dream world that is pretty much just a giant acid trip as far as I'm concerned.
It was an alternate kind of dimension thing that was shared amongst them so that they could hash it out without hurting each other or doing anything in real life, I think. I don't remember exactly what the description was, but it was essentially so they could work it out without going to war.
I mean, I enjoyed this episode, but this part, I was so lost. I didn't understand what was going on other than it seemed like Gumbald and Princess Bubblegum, I'm just going to say PB, that like they do, because that's too much. Yeah. Gumbald and PB seem to change places a lot during these weird like acid trip type events happening in this dream world. And the only thing that I can understand is from this is they had both hurt each other, I guess, at some point, and that might be the root of why they've gone to war against each other. I don't know, man. Like maybe you got more out of it than I did. I couldn't figure it out.
There's a weird kind of dynamic between them where at one point I thought I heard that even though he was her uncle, like she created him. And I was like, that's when I'm like, I'm out. Like, I don't know what's happening.
Okay. So
and maybe that wasn't the case. Yeah, I'm just as lost when it comes to their dynamic. I'm not sure. There's a lot of history there that I'm not familiar with.
They get out of the dream world, but I mean, they kind of work some things out, I guess, a little bit. Like, I think PB and Gumbald have a little bit of understanding. Finn and then Fern, who is like a plant version of Finn, I guess.
Yeah.
Work out some sort of thing. Like they've got some shared repressed memories that Jake finds and brings to life with a nightmare fart. and so like they kind of had an understanding. They get back to like the main world. And then it looked like Gumbald was maybe going to give up, but then also was maybe about to betray PB also. I don't know. Some old lady turned up and turned him into a candy who got happy and excited and just ran away. And they declare peace. But then this hole opens up in the sky and this giant, creepy, Lovecraftian red baby monolith thing comes out.
Oh, it reminded me of something you would see in the anime Berserk.
Golb. And that's when we see this flashback of Ice King is just like, wait a minute. And there's like Simon is back in the day was researching Golb, who is this manifestation of chaos.
We got to see the relationship between Simon and Betty, his wife at the time, and that was where it really humanized Ice King or Simon to me more. And I'm sure there were other episodes prior to this that maybe did that some more. Yeah. But it was cool to see that right after the one we had just watched.
But then it jumps back to the present and Ice King's like, nope, don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Golb's really freaky though. Like that thing was so nightmarish.
Oh yeah, and he is gigantic. He has like birds or something like hovering around him.
Yeah.
And he's just floating in the sky, like in a seated position. And at one point he absorbs Simon, Betty, and Finn and starts to digest them. And that's represented by like they're inside a box within him and it's just continuously closing while Finn's trying desperately to escape.
Yeah, so Betty is there. I didn't understand who she was at first, but Betty's there and she's been turned into some sort of wizard, I guess. Betty was trying to harness the energy of Golb, and I'm assuming because she had heard Simon talking about Golb like way in the, obviously from the past. She knew that he had become the Ice King, and I guess she thought she could turn him back using the power of Golb, but instead Golb swallows all three of them. In the meantime, Golb also is like turning some of the candy people into like these hideous monsters and stuff. And
oh yeah,
there's all these like, I mean, this is just straight up nightmarish kaiju crap. But then it's like all the main characters that you know from this show, like her and Jake, and there's like a druid kind of lady and there's a fire princess. All these people are trying to fight back. One of the monsters like just slammed into PB, and I mean, it looked like it killed her, like just smashed her on the ground, and Marceline goes nuts and starts destroying everything.
Marceline transforms into some giant beast.
Yeah, that was cool. Goes and finds that PB's actually okay. She had like some armor built in that saved her. And then they had hinted before that maybe there was some kind of past relationship like in the beginning of the episode. But now it's like obvious because, they're talking about how Marcy is just like, I can't lose you. And PB says something that doesn't make any sense. And then, they kiss. And that was a cool moment. There's a few like that. There was also like a lumpy space princess or whatever kisses this lemon guy that just yells everything.
Something that they really had talked about regarding the show was how gender doesn't really mean anything. I mean, there are separate genders like male and female, but it's not really ever brought up. And the relationships are so fluid that it doesn't come up ever. Like, if people love each other, they just love them just because, not because they're male or female. And that's something that was really touted as one of the stronger points of the show.
Yeah, I like that too. I think that's a really good, especially if it's like kids that don't understand, the dynamics of that kind of thing, just by showing that gender is like a non-thing. And just like you love who you love and you don't draw any more attention to it than that. Like you don't draw sides to it. I think that's awesome. That's a good way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone's kind of getting taken out. Like the two big guardians we talked about before, one just gets killed pretty quickly. Like his dome gets shattered. The other one gets turned into a monster. And God, that thing is scary. Oh man. The thing's got like, you see ribs sticking out of it and everything. That was freaky. Honestly, like everyone's kind of losing. Like all the good guys are definitely losing. And we see on the inside of Gold, the Ice King and Betty and Finn trying to get out of there. And someone had said before that the Ice King's the only one that can stop Golb.
When they go inside of Golb, like the Ice King's powers are like stripped and he turns back into Simon. And so he's aware of what's going on again. He's cognizant of what's happening. On the reverse side of that, it also like takes away any power the crown has, so it's useless now.
But it's nice though, because then Simon and Betty finally get this moment. They're seeing each other basically how they last saw each other, because she said that it's reverting them back to their core, like what they are. So they get to have this moment. They haven't seen each other for like how many years, and finally get to see each other again and have like this one lucid moment, this last moment with each other. That's when like we find out that apparently music can defeat these monsters.
Well, because the monsters are discord, basically, or chaos. And so harmony is what ends up harming them. But the way that's introduced is so cool because it's like a little, like Jake is like a little tiny Jake and BMO has him in her arms and she's kind of rocking it back and forth.
She's singing a little song to cheer him up because he's scared.
Yeah, calling him her baby. What's really cool, and the thing I was going to mention in the Marshmallows was that the song was written by Rebecca Sugar, who was the creator of Steven Universe, because she at one point had worked on this show as a storyboard artist before she worked on Steven Universe.
That makes a whole lot of sense, to be honest. I mean, that makes more sense than anything else I think has ever made sense. So
yeah,
I'll give them that.
After I had heard about that, after I read that, I watched a video of her singing it live at a San Diego Comic-Con with the panel
that's cool.
of everyone else from Adventure Time. And John DiMaggio, the voice of
Jake
and, Bender and whatnot, every time he hears this song, he cries, he gets emotional.
Wow.
He said after they got done performing it for the episode, he cried. And then you see him crying on the stage when Rebecca's singing it, because it is a closure to this epic thing they've all done together.
Yeah, for a decade or more.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was just a really cool, that really adds to it. And the song was good in general before I knew all this, but it makes it even more special. And that really helps kind of to make me want to go back and appreciate the whole series because of how much this really wrapped it up.
PB and Marceline noticed that song BMO singing is keeping one of the monsters at bay. So they start getting everyone to sing it. And then it kind of changes the tide of battle. And now they're starting to win. They defeat the other monsters and just basically get back to Golb. And Jake turns himself into a megaphone and presses against Golb so that they can hear him inside. It starts opening a way for them to get out. Finn and Simon are trying to get out, but then Betty stops and sees the crown, the jewels started to glow again. So it's the crown reset itself, basically.
She stayed because she needed to make Golb disappear, but he's too strong even for the crown to wish away.
Yeah.
So what she ended up wishing for was the power to keep Simon safe.
Right.
And the only way she could conceive of doing that was kind of taking over and becoming Golb, so that she could banish herself from the realm. That's really sad, is a sad thought, but it is the only way that she could grant that wish. I'm not sure if it's a wish in the genie wish kind of way, or if it's it's so powerful that it can just allow the person to do these things. So in some way, though, it merges her with Golb, because you see Golb get eyelashes and stuff.
Yeah,
and so Golb has then become Betty, or they have become one.
Yeah, and then banishes itself and leaves the reality. But not before Finn and just a regular Simon fall out and land on the ground, and the crown lands on the ground, and a penguin picks it up and puts it on and becomes the Ice King. It's pretty funny because the penguin literally physically changes into the Ice King, still acts like the Ice King, but instead has 3 jewels on its face instead of eyes and a nose.
Oh yeah. Well, that's Gunther. That's his head.
That was
penguin.
Gunther. Okay.
We do get a really another really sad scene with Fern in it, the plant version of Finn, where he's he's really hurt. He's just I'm not doing so good, Finn. And then he's just promise me you'll take me back to the treehouse, or let me see the treehouse, or plant me at the treehouse.
Yeah.
And he's yeah, whatever you need, buddy. And so he just ends up he doesn't even have the power to travel back to the treehouse, so he just reverts back to his seed.
Yeah.
And so that's when Finn takes him back and plants him, and he's just a small tree at this point, but we get to eventually see that kind of wrapped around to where the episode's ending, and we see this giant tree that he's become.
Yeah, so when we see the, Shermie and Beth again, after the story's over, BMO's okay, story's over, bye.
Yeah. Well, because they had messed up BMO's house, too.
Yeah,
she's all right, get out.
They go and look for that tree and find it, and they see, I don't know what the significance of the sword is, honestly. I mean, I know that's significant. I just don't know what that is.
All I know is that was Finn's sword. And in the intro, you see Finn in that kind of same position that Shermie and the other dude were.
Yeah.
You see them lifting it in that same fashion.
Yeah, I just didn't know how. So when Fern became a seed, the seed was kind of shaped like that sword. It was just small and brown. They planted it where the treehouse was because the treehouse got destroyed during that battle. But then when Shermie and Beth get there and they see the giant tree and they climb to the top, that sword is embedded in the top limb. And Shermie pulls the sword out And that's basically the end.
And I guess that's to signify the end of one adventure and the start of another.
Yeah. They also do a nice, like, they do the song that plays at the end of every episode, but they play the full song, and they do like a montage of, I guess, like, where all the characters that you've known over the last 10 years, like what all they do after this, like where they end up, the things that they're doing, who they're with. Like you see PB and Marcy just, sitting on the couch with their arms around each other, watching TV, and, you see everybody moving on and where they go. And one thing I didn't understand, and I'm sure that there's context to this if I watch everything else, but we see Finn and Jake kind of on a beach, and you see a boat of what looks like humans come up, and they're all excited and waving to him, and they look excited. So that made me wonder, were like Finn and Jake in this world or something by accident, and then they're finally found at the end or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And that's again why we got to go back and watch all of it, just so we can be in the know.
Right. And Finn needs to keep his hat on because he looks dumb without it. I don't, that one part he pulls it off. I'm like, ew, put that back on.
Oh, Finn with his blonde hair.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Well, Chris, looks like it's about time we send our inner kids off to the land of Ooh to join Finn and Jake on their next wacky post-apocalyptic adventure, then see what they thought of their experience with the show Adventure Time.
This cartoon was a little confusing, but there's so many cute and fun characters, and a talking Game Boy, and a dog, and a pretty vampire girl, and then everything gets destroyed. What's not to like? So I gave this cartoon 5 bowls of nightmare fart cereal out of 5.
Wow, what a show! The animation was awesome, the characters all lovable in their own ways, and the universe way more fleshed out than I ever expected. On the surface, it's a pretty silly, seemingly random cartoon, but it was packed with a surprising amount of depth and complex emotions. And this was all gathered after watching 3 episodes. I can't imagine what a wreck the last episode would have made me had I seen the entire series. Overall, I'd give Adventure Time 5 big bowls of Broken Royal Promise cereal out of 5, and would definitely recommend you check it out. And after seeing that first episode, I really need to test and see how hard you have to squeeze someone for a fart to come out.
In my case, not very hard. Not very hard at all. In fact,
no.
Even if I just sneeze, if I laugh, you're guaranteed to get a fart.
When you wake up,
when you
take more than 2 or 3 steps.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, I've been around you. I know.
Oh, yeah. It's for sure. Somebody looks at me the right way. Yeah, you'll get a fart. You don't even have to
Or
squeeze.
the wrong way.
Yeah.
Or just look at you in general.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many farts and or burps we cut out of these episodes.
It's very, it's shocking. Honestly, it is shocking. I even shock myself every week. So have any final thoughts on Adventure Time?
I've known this was a good show just from hearing it from other people and just seeing how long it's been going on. But it was one of those that I didn't understand the full gravity of without having seen this nice kind of encapsulation of episodes that we got. If it had just stayed kind of a silly random show, like it would have been fine still. But the fact that they added so much to it and it had a lot of like emotional touch points, and especially that really emotional wrap up, that it's one of those where there are some shows that you go into and if you see the last episode, you're like, all right, I don't need to see any of the rest of it. Like, this is fine. It's all done. But this one especially made me really want to go back and watch all of it and still watch the last episode again to see what kind of impact it has on me after, with all that knowledge packed onto how emotional it is. It's a great show for kids, a great show for teens, a great show for adults. I think it's really kind of a win-win all around. If you have any doubts about it, give it a chance. Like, don't just go off the first couple episodes because, like I was saying before, those were not intended to flesh out as much as they have now. And once you get past that, though, you'll really start to feel for it. And I think you really get into it because I know I did.
As I said before, the first few episodes started a little hard for me just because I didn't have all the context. I didn't get a good feel, I think, for what the show was going to be like, at least in that first episode. And then the second one, I was just missing the history of these characters, though the story that played out was really touching. But then this last episode, I thought it was going to be worse as far as that stuff goes, because they threw in like every character ever. And even though I didn't have context as to what was happening at the time or the backstories of these characters, I could still feel a ton of heart and emotion to it all. I mean, even not knowing them, I could feel a love for the characters, and it made me really care and enjoy that last episode a ton. So I'm getting a feel for why the show is so beloved. And I mean, if you can hook me on those 3 episodes and that be it, and me actually really care about how that last episode ended, I mean, they're definitely doing something. They're working some magic there. So I definitely want to join in and watch this thing all the way through.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Christopher. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I forgot the numbers. What were the numbers?
1295.
1295. I got most of them.
You got.
So thank you, Christopher.
Yeah.
So thank you, Christopher. 1295. This was one that I'd been wanting to watch forever, and you gave us a great excuse to do it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
And this is an awesome way to start 2019, honestly. Like, I don't know of a better way we could have started.
I know, yeah.
It would have been real bad had we started at the bottom of the list for 2019.
Yeah, speaking of, we're hitting the bottom of the list next.
Oh, boy.
And when I say we're going to the bottom, I mean we are going to the bottom. Starting strong, buddy.
Barrel cartoons.
Starting strong. So
well, at least Adventure Time was a good buffer for us to go into whatever nightmare's coming next.
We did the best, and now let's do the worst. So give me the prompt.
Okay, well, listeners, looks like our milk supply is now in dry, so it's time for us to say goodbye. And next week we'll be watching
Alan Gregory, submitted via Toshin Rama via Twitter.
Wait, what is that?
Alan Gregory?
No, is that like a real show, like a real cartoon?
Yeah.
Do you know of it?
I've never seen it. All I've heard is that it might be the worst cartoon ever.
We've seen some bad things, so I don't know about that.
It's rated a 2 on IMDb, and let me see, Rotten Tomatoes. Let's see what they have to say about it. 8% average. That's the critics. The audience says 11. They're slightly more forgiving.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's happening, buddy.
Well, I guess I'm looking forward to it.
No. I am scared.
No, I'm incredibly nervous.
Yeah.
This is going to be all right. We'll see. We'll see. Once again, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
We'll see you next Saturday.
Presented by Nerdsloth.
A place for lazy nerds.
If you like what you heard, consider donating at patreon.com/nerdsloth so we can continue bringing you quality shows. Be sure to also leave us a review and share your favorite episodes and clips on social media. If you're looking for more content, visit us at nerdsloth.com.